Murray Weidenbaum has been a major influence on American economic policy for decades. 2 senior executive branch positions, countless public commissions, and a long teaching career at Washington University have established him as a popular professor and an elder statesman. But it is more than his expertise in economics that has made Murray a force in American public policy. It's the person. Murray attended the City University of New York in 1948. He would eventually serve 5 American presidents, from Truman to George Bush Sr. But his first and only elected office was as student body president.
I have signs all over the place, wine, women, and Weidenbaum. Even though I was elected, I got teased. I only delivered on Weidenbaum. They didn't get the wine or the women.
After graduation, Murray joined the New York State Department of Labor as a junior economist. The staunch Republican didn't start out that way.
I grew up in a family of liberal Democrats, so that if you crossed the picket line, the man up there would hurl a thunderbolt at you. That first job in the New York Labor Department is what got me to reconsider.
Murray was assigned to investigate the Teamsters.
I was visioned unions representing the worker against big business. Here was this powerful union, and the small truckers, a guy owned 1 or 2 trucks, would come in for the bargaining, the annual labor contract, and the cigar smoking politician who ran that part of the Teamsters union would laugh. What do you mean bargain? This is a master contract. You sign here. And it got me thinking, you know, the little guy is the manager, is the owner, and the big business guy is the union. So this really, for a guy who was born as, you know, father's a union member, as a liberal Democrat, it was a great eye-opener.
I think he courted me under false pretenses. In fact, I know he did.
Phyllis and Murray were married in 1954.
It's role reversal or rejection of parental background. I come from liberal Democrats, vote Republican. She comes from New England, rock rib Republican, so she is a liberal Democrat. People tease us about a mixed marriage, but that's okay. I think over the years we both softened the extreme positions of the two of us.
After leaving the Department of Labor, Murray served in the Bureau of the Budget in both the Truman and Eisenhower administrations. He also found time to earn a PhD in economics from Princeton.
If you can work on a dissertation on government spending, the Bureau of the Budget was a great place to be.
In 1964, Phyllis and Murray made the move to St. Louis.
We rented an apartment in University City for 1 year. Phyllis and I said, you know, let's give the Midwest a chance, but talk about culture shock. Well, that was 1964, and we're still here.
At Washington University, Murray taught courses in public finance and the impact of government regulation on the American economy. In 1969, Murray took a leave of absence from teaching and joined the Nixon administration as Assistant Secretary of the Treasury.
While I was Assistant Secretary, I also, as the expression goes, was detailed to the White House. I had developed a major domestic program for President Nixon called revenue sharing, a new form of federal aid to state and local governments. So I was brought into the White House to put the program together, build up the public support. It was a fascinating time.
After 2 years, Murray returned to Washington University as a Mallinckrodt Distinguished University Professor. He teamed up with former Democratic U.S. Senator Tom Eagleton to teach a course on business and government.
He started teaching in a business school, a course with of course, a jazzier title, something like the Common Law Marriage of Business and Government. And somehow it was suggested we team up. And we tried it, and the students loved it. They used to call it the Tom and Murray Show, or Eaglebaum, or Eagleton, Weidenbaum. That was the main one. It was ego-bound, but some of them called it the Tom and Murray show. We enjoyed it very much because not only is there a balance there, but we found he's not that far left, I'm not that far right. In fact, sometimes the students were disappointed we didn't fight as much as they expected.
In 1975, Murray initiated an activity that would become one of its principal legacies, the Center for the Study of American Business, now known as the Murray Weidenbaum Center on the Economy, Government, and Public Policy.
The Center for the Study of American Business, with Murray as the director, was really an extension of Murray. It was his personality, his vision that made it. It was his work that carried it on. He was very involved in regulation at the time.
At that point, it was a pretty esoteric subject. You read about in law journals and some economics journals. But the American Enterprise Institute published a new monograph of mine on the high cost of government regulation. That hit the fan. That generated more newspaper articles, editorials, cartoons. It even got into the comic strips. And it became quite a hot topic. And that became a dominant theme of our new center. We became nationally and sometimes even internationally known as a major place for serious work on the impacts of government regulation and then work on reforming government regulation, how to reduce the cost, how to improve the effectiveness. And we developed some methodology, benefit-cost analysis. Sounds so simple, but it was new when we first came up with it. Analyze the benefits, and then analyze the costs. If the benefits outweigh the costs, great. If the costs outweigh the benefits, maybe you ought to take another poke at the regulation. Maybe it's a better way of doing it, a different way of doing it.
Murray had a chance to put his regulatory ideas into action when he joined the Reagan White House.
When Ronald Reagan first became a candidate in 1980, he set up task forces. Well, I was put in charge of the task force to develop the policies for the Reagan administration on government regulation. And the head of each of these task forces then was brought together under the chairmanship of George Shultz to put together the overall program of the Reagan administration. And having taken a very active part in this whole planning activity, and knowing a lot of the people in the Reagan campaign, it didn't shock me I was asked to be the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors.
For the next 2 years, Murray was at the center of the battles that marked a dramatic turn in American fiscal and economic policy. The programs he helped put into place set the stage for the unprecedented economic expansion that followed.
The president's chief economic advisor, Murray Weidenbaum, was even more optimistic, saying that the recession is almost over.
This economy is just about bottomed out, and that as the spring progresses, we'll see increasing signs of that upturn, and that some of the early signs are already here.
Murray brought to his teaching and to his scholarship a real first-hand experience in business and in government. And it certainly enriched it and made what he was studying much more relevant to the real world.
If there's any common theme, it's the interaction between business and government. Whether it's tax policy, which I've been heavily involved in, or regulatory policy, or trade policy, each one of these is heavily involved in business and government.
Throughout the decades, amidst all of his national appearances and responsibilities, Murray Weidenbaum has maintained an active position at Washington University. Whether teaching undergraduate courses, directing the research of graduate students, addressing parents and alumni on commencement weekends, or simply being a respected teacher and colleague, he has been a valuable member of the Washington University community. The naming of the center that he founded and directed for most of its 30-year history is a fitting tribute for what Murray has contributed to both Washington University and the American people.
I've always enjoyed the fact that my research goes into my teaching. It's one of the special joys is being somewhere, whether it's in a different state or a different country, and a former student comes up to introduce himself, and tell me how much they like whatever I was doing, and then of course they like to know what they're doing now, and that's what we call psychic income.
Murray's career in scholarship and public service continues to serve as a model for us all.